The man
Call
is
somebody,
back,
call
y'all.
somebody.
We're
He's
back.
Call
He's
your
back.
mama, call your daddy.
We're back and we're back.
We're
back. Tony McGee,
He's back, y'all.
We're back. Tony
McGee.
Come on.
Tony McGee, Pro Football Plus. Tony McGee, Pro Football Plus. Tony McGee, Pro Football Plus. Tony McGee.
Welcome to Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus. Now I know a lot of you fans, such as myself, is disappointed. But at the same time, you have to be happy because this team rose from being one of the worst, possibly, in the league to one of the top four. And when you take a look at that, you look at what improvements they need. But Donna, I don't think we can be too hard on this team this year. They bought it. They had some deficiencies at some places. But at the same time, they did show us you can get rid of number one draft choices. You can get rid of people of troublemakers. You can bring in people with character, and you can win games.
Yeah, Tony, the thing about this, like you said, you cannot be disappointed in this Commanders team that finished the regular season at 12-5, won 2 playoff games against the Bucs and the Lions, who everybody picked the Lions to get into the championship game and going on to the Super Bowl. But the Commanders put the brakes on that and then went on, disappointed loss, put up 55 points against the Philadelphia Eagles in that third meeting. But overall, Tony, when you look at this season that the Commanders had, the foundation was laid early on by Dan Quinn. And you talked about why Dan Quinn would be a great coach for this Commanders team from day one. And he proved that, Tony. The foundation, as Zach Ertz talked about, that he enjoyed playing for Coach Quinn and just what he built with this team in this first year. I mean, you got your quarterback finally, and that was so key. But, Tony, you know Dan Quinn and knew him in Atlanta when he coached there. Talk a little bit about what you know of Dan Quinn and why he was so important in building what they started in this first year under his leadership.
Character. I'll go right there from the beginning. He knows the game, but at the same time, he has a character. When you are in the room with him, you feel like you're in the room with a friend. When you're in the room with him, you feel like you're in the room with someone that knows football. And that's what he had. And he brought it there. The team likes him. He was innovative. He did some great things.
Well, Tony, it also helps to have a general manager comes in, Adam Peters, and lays that foundation earlier on as far as building this roster. We know that the offensive line, I thought that would be one of the areas that this team struggled at, but they surpassed my beliefs in them because I think they did a tremendous job. Now, on the defensive side, I thought that defensive line, they had some problems, Tony, as far as stopping the run all season long for the most part. And, you know, we'll talk a little bit later about what each area of this team needs to plug in so that they don't have any setbacks going into the second year. But, Tony, let's start right off with the offense. They've got a lot of players that they're going to lose. The tight end position was so key this year. And Zach Ertz talked about him being renewed under this leadership, that he wanted to come to a team that they were going to use him, and they definitely did. He's going to be a free agent, and he said that he wished he was 22 years old playing with Jayden Daniels. But, Tony, when you look at the offense, let's start there. What do they need on offense to get this team moving forward? Because I'm always thinking that they still need to shore up the offensive line to get some bodies in. Cosme went down with that knee injury at the end of the season. And, you know, they're going to lose some of the offensive linemen on this team. But I think we, you know, between me, you start with the line play. And then, you know, I'm looking at running back. I think you need to shore that up. And then maybe another receiver. But what's your take on what this team needs on the offensive side of the ball?
Offensive side of the ball, I think you mentioned it first and foremost. Offensive line. One thing you could say, when we went to the Super Bowl, we had the Hogs, and if any of the Hogs got hurt, we knew the next person up would be that good. This team had put together an offensive line pretty much for the last 3 or 4 years. What they had to do is get continuity there. They need to get some big players, but you want some players that When the defensive player look across, he's like, "Ooh, this is going to be a long day." So when you look at that, that's important. Running back, they got 3 running backs that can do something good each of them, and Hector could probably do a little bit more than the other 2 at different positions. But you need a running back that can break it off. Look at the difference in Philadelphia's team from last year, this year. Yes, pretty much same wins or something, but they didn't lose 5 or 6 in a row. Whenever they need, they had a running back they can give it to. I think this team needs to have that right now, because if you go back and look at history, this team has always been built on a strong running game. That's when they were the Washington Redskins, or if they're the Commanders. So that's very important. You get those 2 things situated on your offense. You got really good receivers. You may have to give some of them up to get somebody. You got one of the best young quarterbacks in the game, and you're right. Tight end will be a problem. You have to. Everybody's now that middle range. When you want to get in that middle range, make your linebackers have to drop off rather than stay up and play the run. You are going to get that tight end that can stretch it and move across that middle and open it up. So now they have to go looking for another tight end if they lose their tight end now. But this is a smart organization. A lot of things we thought they were doing, we thought that they were making mistakes. But let's see who was right in the end. They were. They went to the playoffs. They started to be in one of the top 4, and they got us looking forward to next year already.
Yeah, Tony, and when you look back at that offensive roster, we talked about the offensive line. Free agent is Cornelius Lucas, offensive tackle. Then you've got Trent Scott, who filled in when Cosme went down. So offensive tackle. So those 2 guys, I don't know if they're bringing them back. And then you talk about the running game with Jeremy McNichols. He was one of the running backs, and then Chris Gonzalez was the other one. So Chris Rodriguez. Chris Rodriguez was the other one, but he didn't play a lot. But then when he did get his time, he came in and had solid play. So, wide receiver wise, you got Olamide Zaccheaus, who stepped up and played really top ball. Dan Quinn talked about liking him. And then you also had Jamison Crowder, special teams, and a wide receiver that stepped in after he had that hamstring injury early in the part of the season. And, along with De'Ami Brown, who really played well down the stretch too. So those are 3 wide receivers. And then Noah Brown, who goes out early, after he had a solid first half of the season. Then he had that injury. So you got him. So those 4 wide receivers, not for sure their status coming back, but definitely I still think that you need to plug another one in. So, Tony, let's shift a little bit to the defensive side of the ball where, Bobby Wagner had stepped in this year, an all-pro guy, 13 years in the league, 13th season, 100-plus tackles this year, hasn't missed a beat. But it was at 34, his leadership was so key this year for this team. Jerry McChin, another guy at safety. The safety position was so strong for this Commanders team this year, Tony.
Do you really think so, Donna? You really think?
No, you had to, because Jeremy Chin, you had Quan Martin. Look, Forrest didn't even get on the field. And I mean, they in the area of this team, their safety play was solid. Now, the linebacker play I thought was good with Frankie Louvu and Bobby Wagner. So I think that those 2 guys, has to be on this team come next year. You don't want to break up this team so much that where you're starting over, because you have to have that veteran leadership on this team. Tony, if you was watching this team this year, you would know that the safety position was solid. What did you not see there?
Well, you know what? I didn't see enough turnovers. I didn't see enough game-changing
That's
plays.
not just the safeties.
No, that's everybody. And at the same time, you can say what you want. But I think if we play a little better on that other end, and see what you have to look at when you look at a defense, you look at coordination. And defense is one of the worst places to lose that coordination, because they can throw a long bomb, they can get get you in a bad position. But at the same time, if you got a defense that they can shut people down, if you'll notice, all during the playoffs and at other times, Washington didn't do as well as we thought they should, shutting down the run. So you look at that kind of situation, and you know that you got to have that solid running game. And that don't mean you have to have perfect players. That don't mean you have to have perfect calls. You have to have workers. And that's what that's about.
Tony, I ain't gonna let you off this.
Oh, yeah, you talking about our defense back. You know what?
See, defensive side of the ball, and let's start up front, Tony, because you're talking about the secondary didn't force turnovers and whatever. Let's talk about the defensive front that couldn't stop the run for the whole season. And one player, Tony, that I think that you definitely have to sign back is Dante Fowler Jr., because 10.5 sacks this year. He led this team in sacks this year. This second time in his career that he's had double digits in sacks. Frankie Louvu was second with the sacks at 8 for the year. Those two guys, Tony, to me, really played well all season, and Bobby Wagner with 100+ tackles. But when you're talking about, and then I think that Armstrong played great down the stretch too. But again, Tony, you've got to have a pass rusher on the edge, an edge rusher that they did not have. To me, they still need to shore up that defense. Do you bring back a John Allen and a Darrell Payne, both of those guys? What did you see there, Tony?
I look at it, one of them should be traded. Not that they're not both good players, not that they haven't played together, not that they haven't performed at time up to their ability. But at the same time, you see that they don't coexist well. Those two guys should be dominating. When we had Darrell Grant and Dave Butts in the middle, those two guys shut it off. Then we brought Perry Brooks in, and we put some stuff on people. But if you look at it now, I could take one of those players that I'm making get me a starting offensive lineman or a good defensive lineman. They're going to watch what's going on. You cannot want a player like that when there's an opportunity to get them. As far as them playing together, I don't like the way they play together. It looks like they play better with other players. So I'd have to look at it, and I'm going to ask you now, Donna, which one would you get rid of?
Well, Tony, you know what? It's hard to get defensive players, across the board. You know how hard it is to find two guys like them. I mean, it's hard. We lost Sweat and Chase Young, and we haven't recovered totally from that yet. So I think that you have to be careful. They're good salary cap wise right now, but they're not going to overspend also. So my thing is with John Allen, with the injuries and so forth, do you keep him? Because he's been injured a little bit more than Darrell Payne. Right now, Darrell Payne didn't play in the last game because of a knee injury and also that thumb, but was more the knee injury. So these guys are still young, Tony, but being under Dan Quinn for a second year and Coach Witt, do you keep both of them still? I mean, do you just paid them both a lot of money, Tony?
You keep them in case, Donna.
Huh?
You keep them in case. And when I say that, you don't want to get rid of them. But just like when they got rid of the defensive ends, they had a commodity that they thought it may pay off in the end, it may not, and they're right back at that same place again. And I need to look at it. You need to look at it. Who's played the best, who have been out there on the field more, and you want to have a tendency to keep those people. So therefore, I think it's very important for us to look at the overall, but we can't blame everything on them because we talk about that middle zone. Until Wagner got there this year and started roaming in that middle, they were killing us. They still doing pretty good, but ever since he's gotten in there, he got his knowledge, he still got ability, and he's doing well. So I look at that's good.
That's why you keep him.
My defensive backs, when you run a film and somebody catching the ball and you don't see a defensive back ever in that film, no, we don't play like that. You know that, I mean, so when you said
Okay,
he went to
Tony,
the
I'm gonna put the brakes on you for a minute because it was some good defensive back play by Michael Samuelsteele, the rookie this year, who they moved from the inside. And we're gonna hear from Darrell Green a little later talking about Michael Samuelsteele and the fact that he's his mentor and so forth. But I think that's one guy that really played well. They moved him from the inside to the outside and played well. But that's just one. But I agree with you, Tony, that Lattimore, hopefully that they'll be back. But as Adam Peterson said in his closer presser, that it was hard for Lattimore coming in the middle of the season. He was still nursing a hamstring injury and still trying to get up to speed. So I would love to see if they would keep him, of how he would be come next year when he's totally healthy and playing a full year. But I still think, Tony, that they still have to get another cornerback.
Oh, no question. And you know what? I would like for them to get one that's been in the league for 2 or 3 years. Maybe 2 years is good enough. But I want someone that's got some NFL experience. I want somebody that's been in the war. And I want somebody that is not green behind the ear, because that is right. They need 2 defensive backs. But at the same time, they can't get homers. They can't get individuals that don't understand the schematic part of the game. They got to look for that right pick. And they'll do that. I feel they'll do that. But as you look around the league, everybody's looking for that right pick. Look at all the young quarterbacks out there now. We can start hitting that, because we do need to hit. But you look at Miami. They're around shopping some of our guys around trying to get more quarterbacks. So, just things change. But as far as you said, Washington getting a defensive back, that would be outstanding. But you want to shut down a guy.
Oh, definitely, Tony. But Adam Peters made it clear, and Coach Quinn, that whoever comes to Washington, they have to be the right fit in here. Can't just be anybody coming in here. But Tony, we knocked around and kind of like looked at this team of some of the things that we feel that they can get better at. But one great thing about this Washington Commanders team this year is that they came out the gates strong, and they finished strong, and they set a foundation here this year in Jayden Daniels' rookie year, Tony, and the way that they played this year over across the board, we have nothing but to be pleased with that and in building looking forward. But Tony, as we move on about this, I got a chance, is when the end of the season comes, it's locker room shutdown time. Everybody is up. So let's go into the locker room to hear from some of the players that may be here next year and may not be, about just how they saw this season under Coach Quinn and Adam Peters and this leadership team.
But Jayden talked about just how this team came together quickly. How special was it for you to just play on a team like this to bring, I guess, the fun back to the game for you? Yeah, it was amazing. I've spoken about it at length, just how much fun I had, how I felt rejuvenated this year. And it was a testament really to the people that they brought in. They were very deliberate in the culture of guys. They brought in the character of guys they brought in. And so just to be able to be around people that love the process again, and every day during practice they went 100%. For me, that's what I feel like I've done my whole career, because I said you get better is by practicing football. And so for me, it was just so much fun to be around a group of guys that love the process like I do. And like I said, I felt younger because of it. This season here, it was one to remember. We had a couple lows and a lot of highs, but at the end of the day, it wasn't what we expected at first. We had a standard, and we kind of knew what our goal was. We knew what we wanted to do. We just fell short of exactly where we wanted to go. But what we built, as far as Washington, that culture is definitely back, and I'm proud of the guys for all of that. A lot of selfless people coming together to win. At the end of the day, we didn't get the job done. We didn't play our best ball yesterday, but just how fast we were able to build that here is special, and that means that we have something special going on in this building, with this organization and these people, and it's a special season,
didn't end the way we wanted it to, but I'm very proud of the guys and how we've dealt with adversity throughout the year and just how we bonded together.
Coming to a team like this where it was a lot of new faces, you had to bond quickly. How did you see that? Because Jayden said that it happened quickly as far as this team really was on the same page with this brotherhood.
Yeah, I think it started in OTAs obviously, and then getting that break, coming back for training camp, and then just getting that experience in game. Early on, it just started to accelerate very fast. Just seeing how hard people were playing and for each other, and it's easy to play as hard as you can when the next person next to you is doing the exact same thing as you. So, I have to agree with Jay on that. It's like it came together very fast, but everybody being on the same accord.
Hey, Jamison, you've been here before the end of another season. Just talk about this season and how special it has been. I know that it still stings in the NFC Championship game, but just talk about this year in general.
It's been fun. Just to have the success around here, just to bring the buzz back to the city. You know what I'm saying? The city got behind us, the fans got behind us. Won a lot of games, something that has really been done around here in a while. So overall, it was fun. Like you say, man, it sucks to lose yesterday. The way we did, especially to Philly. Losing like that to anybody sucks, but I always lose to a division rival like that in that big of a game. That definitely stings. But overall, it's been a good year.
You've been on teams where it's been at this time of the year. Locker rooms change, new players come, but what you all build here, a lot of people probably want to be here. Just talk about that as far as the changing faces, and that's just part of football, but you never see a team that bonds so greatly as this team did, and you almost probably want to stay on a team like this.
No, for sure. I think that, the new ownership, the GM, AP, and obviously Dan Quinn, they did a really good job of creating a good environment, for guys to come in. Obviously, we had a good group of guys that, came in and brought into the program early, but guys that, wanted to work and guys that, were genuine. I feel like this is one of the few teams I've been a part of where you got a genuine, brotherhood relationship with one another. Not a lot of guys that have a lot of, egos and stuff. Guys just want to go out there and win. So I feel like they did a really good job of building that chemistry this year and just creating a great work environment, coming in each day. Obviously knew we were going to work and compete against each other, but it was all fun, and it was all, paid off throughout the season. So I definitely think that, this organization definitely headed in the right direction, with DQ and those guys. So it was exciting this year. It was fun, a lot of fun.
Well, Frankie, you just said something about one thing about this team. It was no drama queens on this team. It was truly a brotherhood that came together really quickly because it was a lot of new faces. Could you just talk about just how this team really came together quickly and just what you all were able to accomplish this year?
How we came quickly was a special moment and a special thing to see. You don't see that a lot of new teams and organizations, but the way that DQ and AP had a plan for us, they laid down a foundation for us and have everybody tight-knit a group. It don't matter if you're the janitor, it don't matter if you're the cook, the massage therapist, like we treat everybody like family, you know what I mean? So that's the type of culture he brought around, that's the type of mentality and the standard that we surround ourselves with. And a lot of guys, man, you see, it's a special moment for not a special moment today that we're boxing everything, but just overall through the year, playing through injuries, guys just showing up, even though, they're not at their 100%, but, finding a way. So I think that's the main thing, is finding a way and playing as one.
Well, Tony, a lot of great talk in the locker room. It was fun covering this team this year. And you could just tell how passionate they were about wanting to come back, many of them to play for this team. Because when you talk about a brotherhood being formed that Coach Quinn set out from day one, he said, create the brotherhood quickly. And they did that. And all I heard about is how much they love really playing for this team. And as they said, trusting the process. And you can't cheat the process, Tony. But Tony, let's jump a little bit to the Super Bowl. Commanders was one game from being there. But again, I told Tony fans that Kansas City from day one would be back in the Super Bowl, and he said no, won't happen this year.
No, you even going to say they're going to win.
He was looking at the Buffalo Bills, more so the Ravens, but once again, here go the Kansas City Chiefs. So, Tony, how do you see that game playing out between the Philadelphia Eagles, who have a great running game, Kansas City with Mahomes, that they just seem to have gotten healthy with Andy Reid being in the coach for the Chiefs, that he hasn't missed a beat, but they've gotten healthy at the right time. And not only do you talk about the Kansas City Chiefs offense, but now you've got to talk a little bit about their defense that has played well. But talk about this matchup in the Super Bowl between the Kansas City Chiefs, third straight time that they've gotten.
We ain't worried about the other 5.
Third straight time that they've gotten there, but here go Tony, still not a believer fan.
Yeah, I do, but you know what, Donna? I have changed my position somewhat. As you know, last week I was always saying that Kansas City would lose. Now I'm looking at history. I'm looking at the opportunity for this coach, for this player, for these players to be part of history. And I would love to see that. But I just think that Philadelphia is too powerful of a team for them. They're counting on 1, 2, 3 people, speaking of Kansas City. Whereas you can look at Philadelphia, they got great wide receivers, got the best running back in the game, got one of the 2 best quarterbacks in the game, got a defensive line that can shut you down, got a big offensive line, and don't make a lot of mistakes. So I'm looking at them right now as being, and you know what, Donna? It's just like if I ever let you beat me in basketball,
let me tell you, fans,
I'm going to be mad that I can come back and get you.
Hey, let me tell you, he broke it down some. He laid out the Smith, A.J. Brown, Hurts, and you know, of course, Saquon Barkley. I never take anything, the defense, but he failed to mention the Kansas City Chiefs and what they have. He said they have 1 or 2 players. Not so, Tony. You know, they start with that coach, to me, that is a home run hitter.
Okay, give me your tight end and give me your quarterback and tell me who else you got. I hear you have a good defensive tackle.
They got a solid offensive line that has been playing well all season. Their defense has stepped up. They're just as good as Philadelphia's defense too, Tony, as far as shutting down. They've got special teams players. I mean, they build this team again, Tony, to be strong, and they're playing solid ball. But who you got, Tony? I'm picking Kansas City.
Don't worry about it. You act like you Newt Rockley or somebody. You know the game real well. You ain't coach. You hear that bird in the background?
Once again, Tony, don't listen to him. He said that they wouldn't even be here, but here they are again.
Okay, now let's correct the statement. I said I don't think they're going to make it to the Super Bowl.
Again, that is not the same thing, Tony.
So far, y'all got rabbit foots. Y'all got everything in your.
Tony, but at the end of the day, a win is a win, right? It doesn't matter about how you win. If you got the 4-leaf clover, the rabbit foot in your sock, you know, whatever it takes, Tony.
You thinking the whole time. You know, you said.
They don't need to think, Tony. It's proof in the pudding.
That Buffalo is a tough game.
It was a tough game. And right. I think that they're battle tested with that. But at the end, Tony, the Kansas City Chiefs send Buffalo packing again. Mm-hmm. So Super Bowl is just around the corner. But Tony, as they say, fans, we're gonna be back. But we're gonna be back month by month, Tony, to see who's right. But all I just want to say is I won the picks this year by a landslide.
You didn't have to waste no conversation on that. Let's talk about what we're doing.
Landslide, fans.
We got lucky on the picks, so that means that we're going to start having shows in the off season because we need the extra work. But no, all joking aside, she did a great job on the pick. And we are going off season. Once a month, you'll be seeing us.
40 years.
It's going to be unique.
40 years.
We're going to have little bites and pieces. We may even have Donna Hopkins when she was playing that phantom basketball career that we haven't seen.
Hey, me and Darrell Green is going to race Tony in a street race.
I'm going to beat Darrell Green. I'm not even counting you. And I tell you, we're going to have different things. We're going to throw back on coaches. We're going to always talk about what the Commanders are doing now and around the league. But we're going to make this a nice period where you can look back and look at a team, and that makes you look a little bit more forward, looking at what they can do. And I tell you, Donna, I'm hopped up. You know, I never really wanted to do off-season show, but I think it's important now because once that game was over, did you not feel like you had missed something? Something was gone from our weekend.
Yeah, look, Coach Quinton was telling us in his presser, "See y'all in April." Said, "No, Coach, you're gonna see us before then." So it was great, Tony. But again, we don't, as you say, we don't say goodbye. We say in a minute, but we want to also. We had a chance to talk to Darrell Green. So we're gonna run his interview. We had a good talk with him as we end another 40th year, Tony. That
wow.
Is
well, Donna, make sure when you tell them this is the 40th year that I started when I was 10 and you was only 5 or 4. Okay.
Hey, fans.
we started doing this show. But
okay.
You know, it's a blessing. And I tell you what, fans is all about you. So keep looking at your screens and finding out. We will be on once a month. We will have some interesting stuff. We will have some stuff that people don't want you to see. But one thing we won't do is say goodbye. We say in a minute.
In a minute. Hey, Darrell, take us out.
D. Green. Ever since then, man, it's been all the way up, man. She's still here with me, homeboy. Man. But you know what? I can still take you. You know, I was one of the ones that did your first 40. I got the one where, well, wait, D, I want to make sure. You did run 4:17, didn't you?
A little bit faster than that, but yeah.
The one I got was 4:17.
He doesn't even have the facts right, Darrell.
Yeah, well, he's in the ballpark. He's in the ballpark. I want to just say to him, well, first of all, I didn't get no feed from him, and Donna, I didn't get my feed from you either. But it's all good. It's all good. Just take me to lunch or something. We'll be good. We'll be good. So, Tony McGee, man, listen, he's right, Donna. I lived on his street. I was a young man. I lived on the street, and he said, "Man, come over my house. We lift weights." And when we went to see how much you can max, your max out day, and I hit that 300, he never saw me again.
No.
I said, "This man has lost his mind. I do not need to or want to be able to lift 300 pounds."
But he was the league's fastest man that year too.
I told you what, fast feet doesn't need to lift weights.
Oh yeah, you got it all wrong. It's all part of your whole structure.
Yeah.
And when we start talking about that, that's where we can jump on this team. That's where they are different. You know, you see parts of them that, like when I was a defensive lineman. I was big for the public, 260, 265. But for other people, I wasn't. But they saw what was in me. I saw Darrell Green when I first saw him. I said, "Man, if you just lift a few, man, you ain't going to mess my legs up." So, but the biggest thing he did, and I was not joking, fans, he brought Donna Hopkins to me. And Donna and I have been together now 25 years. And it's good for us to be talking about this 40th year, 40 years, and be able to talk about a team that's finally back into the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I want to get started. I know Donna got a bevy of questions she want to ask you, but I want to ask you one question. Over the last few years, when did you see this team turning it around?
The last few years, or you mean this year?
You better just say this year.
Yeah. Not the last few years.
You know, I don't want to say. Yeah, I want to say.
No. The last few years, this team wasn't turning. This team was spinning and spinning out of control.
They still got 2 or 3 good players out of it. You know what I mean?
Well, first of all, thank God these, Josh Harris, Mitch Rails, Magic, Mark Imes, all these guys, the local guys too. Of course, Magic. Everybody know Magic, but they Blitzer. All these people who are quality people took over the ownership. They had the millions of dollars to put into it, and they got it. And you got to credit those folks. You have to credit them. Then they took their time and picked GMs, head coaches. The coaches brought in coaches and got rid of different players and got other players. So they have built very strategically built a human capability to have a good product on the field. And all of us fans, us DC people, and I consider myself one, we are grateful for them. We're grateful for them. And so, no, the turn took place when the deal was made to sell the team to them. And then they put their expertise in there, and so all the credit goes to them. The draft, all of that, all the things that they've done, no matter if you like them or not, they have done have made great moves to give us our organization back. And I said today on another station that, they were talking about people jumping on the bandwagon. And I said this to them. I said, anybody who jumped off over the last 20 plus 30 years that jumped off, they should have jumped off, because this team and this organization was an extraordinary value and of extraordinary importance to our community for multiple reasons. And past leadership destroyed all of that. And everybody that jumped off were good for you. You should have jumped off. Now, jump back on, because it's not only that they're winning, but they are the organization that we all grew up knowing, and the grandfathers that people remember when they were with their grandmother, my grandfather, my daddy, man, me and my daddy used to do this, and he's going on. And all those people from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 50s, those are the people that I appreciate, and I'm happy for them. I'm happy for them because this organization helps us in our community. People can say a lot more, thank you. Hey, how are you doing today? Hey, appreciate that. It puts something on the inside of us that makes us feel good about our community. And this organization does it. And that's just the truth. And I'm happy for us. And I hope we, continue to move forward into the Super Bowl and continue to be successful the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years.
Hey, Darrell, you look at this organization, and it starts also with all the people that you laid down. But when you look at getting the quarterback position finally right, that moves your team ahead. When you've been watching Jayden Daniels all season long and the growth of this guy, talk a little bit about Jayden Daniels, not only the player, but everybody talks more about him as the person.
Somebody asked me in an interview this week about comparing him to Randall Cunningham. They talking about on the field. And I said, it's really interesting. Randall Cunningham, kicked my butt. He's great, really a kind of a Hall of Fame quarterback, did some extraordinary things and did it early, did it first with his feet before. Well, Fran Tarkenton did it, and a lot of guys did it. Steve Young did it, but Randall was special. But I just said to him, I said, man, I'm not going to try to put this guy with Randall. I think that this young man is different than Randall. He's different than a lot of people. He has some unique God-given gifts and ability to stay balanced. Whether we're way up here or way down here, this kid just is uniquely made by God. I don't know that he was created or made by man. I'm sure some coaches have helped him, even his family, but I think that this boy was born with some kind of balance, mind balance. And I know he's Christian, he loves God, and I know that's huge. But that kid is uniquely different. And I've seen him in these high moments and in low moments, and he just maintained his you. And that's a unique gift from God. Not to mention the boy can throw a dime. He can drop it deep, he can drop it short, he can do it with his feet. He is just unique. He's a unique kid, and I'm glad we got him. And he is the basis of our getting back. But there's a lot of other people out there that's supporting what we're doing, including the coaches. That at the wide out spot, man, we had the posse and all those guys, but these guys, they can throw their name out there too. And then We got a tandem of running backs, a solid. The offensive line, to me, the O and defensive lines are the darlings of the year. Those are the ones that I had question marks about, but they have held their own. It's just been very special to watch, and I have been completely out of that, for 20, 30 years, whatever, 20 years since I retired. But so, no, that kid, long story short, that kid is uniquely built, and we're very happy and blessed to have him.
I tell you, very important, and things that you said were key components to a Super Bowl and championship team, and you know that very well. And it's really the character, the people you put on there, the thought process, and what can you do as a team. And that's what I look at this team. They can't say, oh, we got 4 number 1 draft choices on the defensive line like they did, but the defensive line that they have now is playing better than that line played prior to them. Yeah. At the same time, you look at where they're weak, they are strong in other places, and they play as a team. But what I like is that they play as a team because of Dan. That coach, I've seen him be coordinated. I've seen him go to the Super Bowl. I've seen his team blow big move, blow big. They were way ahead.
Big wins, yeah, big leads.
Yeah, they blew a real big league in the Super Bowl. But at the same time, I've always seen how he works with the players. And I think that's important, Donna. And when you look at this team, and I look at I remember when we were getting Darrell Green. I remember that Peck came, not Peck, but a big Pettibone. He said, man, we got this little running back, this little fast guy. He didn't say running back. He said defensive back. He said, what do you think we need him? Well, I'm a defensive end. Yeah, bring that brother on in. And from the time that he came in, and I think that's what's important on any kind championship team, me and this young man have looked at each other. We went to the same church at the same time. We bought our dogs together, even though he tried to beat me and get the other one, but I got the best.
You did.
We lived ways together.
Yeah, you must.
Fans, I have to come and say this.
I picked him, Donna. I picked him.
Okay,
I picked the wrong one. I picked the wrong one.
The only thing he will not do with me is run the 40. And Donna, I'll let you ask him why.
Hey, Tony, I don't even know how to ask Darrell because I'm looking at the runner versus the non-runner, and that's the reason why. Hey, Darrell, he couldn't be in your league.
Well, Tony was like a high 4.5, I would imagine, and I ran that probably in 3rd grade or something, 3rd or 4th. So, I mean, I know that speed. I remember that speed from elementary school.
It was so slow, right?
Yeah. Hey, but look, Tony, listen, let me just say this. Donna, you look beautiful, and it's so great to see you. And I'm so glad, as Tony mentioned, you guys have been able to stick it out, and your contribution to what you guys have tried to accomplish. Tony built a strong foundation and then added you, and it's just a blessing, and he's right. He is a ex-football player, African-American owned enterprise, and it's 40 years. That's a blessing. That's a blessing, and I'm proud of all that you guys have done, and glad to be on with you guys. And Tony, Tony's like family to me from day one. Took us under his wing, and then Donna. Truthfully, Tony, Donna and I were in college at the same time. We came out the same time. We both were at small schools and came to Washington, D.C. at the same time and met that first year. So she's like family to us, babysat and kept our kids and tried to teach Jared sports, but I don't think Donna, she says she played basketball, but
I heard that.
I mean, Tony, I asked her to help Jared. But, I don't know what sport she would really help them in. But, I mean, it was just great that she tried. I don't know,
No, gee, you couldn't come in.
Hey,
20 years.
She never would play me. She would never play me. I don't understand why.
Oh, she played Gary one time, and she was talking about that. Who else did you play that you beat up pretty good?
Roy Jefferson.
She don't let nobody forget about that.
Hold on. You beat Gary and Roy?
Hey, look, I told people don't step on the court unless you want to lose.
Oh,
that's something.
Well, Gary and Roy, they're wide receivers. They're not as athletic and talented.
Hey, Darrell, Tony talking about he was the Lone Ranger shooter. I said, what was he shooting? Bricks? What was he shooting? Bricks?
Yeah, he was.
But Darrell, let me ask you this, because when you look at this Washington Commanders team, one of the guys we talk about, Jayden Daniels, has had an all rookie season, just out of the books. But on the other side, on defense, is Michael Steele, a guy that has come in and had such a phenomenal rookie year also. This is the guy that they moved from the inside, played wide receiver, moved from the in college, moved from the inside to the outside because they were taking a chance. They said, let's take a chance on him playing on the outside. And he hasn't missed a beat. You're talking about character of people too, along with Jayden Daniel. You got to put Michael Steele right up there. What, being a cornerback yourself, what have you seen in this guy that just is, I'm sure you are just happy about what you see in him across the board, but to go from the inside to the outside and not miss a beat and just explode at that position, 2 picks against the Lions. Talk a little bit about Michael Steele.
So on May 2nd, I'm pulling it up, Thursday, May 2nd, 8:25 a.m. I want you to mentor me. God make people cross paths for a reason. I'm trusting him with this one. Michael Steele sent me that, saying that he wanted me to mentor him. And we've become good buddies and did some working out in the off season. And so he's just a great young man with great character, great integrity. So I'm so happy for him, to say the least. On a personal level, came by the house, worked out in the backyard, worked out at the school, and just to interact. Just text me the other day, literally after the game, just saying, hey, he called me old OG, old school, whatever. But he just said, hey man, I miss you, guys, miss you. That was 9:00 on Sunday morning after that game. So you're talking about, and I sent him a text when he first sent me that original text. I said, why do you want me to mentor you? I was really kind of, just pushing back at him like, so you don't know me. Why do you want me to mentor you? And it was like, he said, I know you. But the kid is just, and I've told him, I said that in the text. I said, man, I don't know who your parents are, but man, I want to meet them. Just a young man that I met through texting and interacting. Just, and those, Tony, going back, those are the type of characteristics that you saw in young men that the Bobby Beathard and Gibbs them brought in over the years. It wasn't just how high you can jump or how much you could catch or run or throw. There was other factors that they looked at in your character that brought you to this team. And that kid is a throwback to that type of character. I think he has had a great year. I'm looking forward to him, getting to the next level. I think that, he there's another level that he can go to. And, he hadn't played corner in years anyway in college. Mm-hmm. So he's definitely one that I think, he and I'll get back together again. And just to digress, one of the things that I was very disappointed in is when the other kid, Forbes, left, because I thought that the kid, and of course this group didn't draft him, so they had no nothing in the game. But this kid was drafted as 14th pick, and I just thought that he was totally left out there. He didn't get any of the support he needed, and that could have even been myself. And I don't mean that in some kind of prideful way, but that was a young kid that I actually was asked to reach out to. But to see this young kid come in, man, and be, and I think, everybody can't reach out to every ex-player, because every ex-player, it doesn't make sense. And it's not even needed. But for this young man to reach out to me and consider what I had done, my body of work, and on and off the field, was important to him, to say, hey man, mentor me. And he didn't mean football, just football. I'm just proud of that type of, that's the type of player that we're bringing to our organization. And that's going to help our community. And that's where I'm at. I'm always with the community. Let's win games, but then let's take what we get and go and serve our community with it. And boy, you got to be so excited about this team. You have to pull for this team. I said to some other media, I guarantee you it was a multiple of people around the nation in every city that was pulling for Detroit. People was pulling for Detroit just because everybody was pulling for Detroit. You know, they had their own teams, but their teams wasn't there. I'm going for Detroit. But I think that the Washington Commanders are in that same place with these darling young men that have just really represented so well, from our ownership to our GM, to our coaches, to our players. This is a type in America that we need to be highlighting, the type of characters that and characteristics and character that our players are having. And I'm happy about that because, of course, the country and in the world is, man, we're looking for people of integrity and character and compassion and kindness and friendship. You know, and so I'm so proud of this team, not just for the scoreboard and the wins versus losses, but just for giving our city something that we had in the past, or should I say coming potentially to give our city something that they can be proud of as young men and their families represent us at a high level.
And see, they're fresh. They're real fresh for the simple reason that they're not ashamed to admit their Christianity either. And we're not trying to sell anything on the show or anything, because I believe in God, and that y'all have to just get used to me being that way.
Yeah.
At the same time, when I listen to these young men talk, and I listen to things they're saying, and they genuinely saying this is in God's hands or this is different things. Then I listen to some other people I see on the street, and they're talking all that yang and stuff. It makes me understand that this is a new generation of players, and we got some good ones. Everybody a few years ago was talking about all the number one draft choice and everything. We finally got a team that's starting to resemble the teams that when we played. And I think that's why so many, do you see how many people it has made happy around Washington, D.C. and elsewhere? I mean, it's so much fun to get up and do the show on a Monday when you say, "Oh, these boys got it going on," you know.
Yeah, you get many more. Hey, how you doing? Hey, thank you. Hey, I appreciate that. You know, people are more readily to interact in a kind way with people, and that's just the unique gifting of what this organization has always had in this region, in this community. And I came into it and I saw it and experienced it, and it had died. It was gone, and now it's revived, and I'm happy for them.
Hey, Darrell, we'll be remiss to not congratulate you also of your success as far as this year. We didn't get a chance to catch up with you earlier to congratulate you as far as the Commanders retiring your jersey. That doesn't happen too much. And just, you know, what that has meant for you with everything that you build down through the year, all the successes that you had, and to be recognized by this organization. They started winning when they did that with you. So we wanted to say congratulations you look, your family right here.
Hey, look, I'll tell you what, you know, and I can say, Donna, first of all, I appreciate that. And I feel good to have been in the early parts of the, you know, even the off season, trying to their strategy, I think, was to try to endear themselves to the community, and they chose to let me be a part of that. And I'm grateful that the people responded out of love for me and the thing that I've tried to do and be in this city. And so I'm really grateful for that. And as we got that and through the draft, and you know, they, you know, hey, we're gonna let you know when we're gonna retire Darrell's jersey. People got excited, and then ultimately, when I handed the stick off to Jaden and said, you know, go, and trust me. And so I'm grateful to have played a little bit of part of reviving us, you know, and getting us excited about the potential of what could happen, and it did happen. But I don't take any credit, you know, beyond what it is. These kids have done the work. But I was definitely humbled by that. And even about Mario Bowser gave me the key to the city. Tony, that meant so much to me as a man who gave my whole adult life here, serving my community, didn't go, chasing the money and all that stuff. And so that meant the world to me, and it still does, both for the team and more so for the city, doing that. And I'm humbled by that.
Well, D. Green, one thing that I can say about you, and you've been young, but you've always been level-headed, and you've always known where you want to go and what you want to do. And that's one thing have always attracted me. You got a beautiful family that's following through with that. And you know what, man? It didn't much. You were sent to us, too. And you keep saying the city was sent. You were sent to us, too. And you made a difference in a lot of our lives. You're looking at two people right now. So you know what, man? You just keep on keeping on. But anytime you think you want me in the 40-yard dash, all you got to do is throw a cleat up on my front steps.
Hey, you got jokes, I see. Hey, Darrell, he got jokes.
You know what I'm going to do, though? One day, me and you going to roll up with the cameras, knock on his door and say, get your cleat. Then he going to say, oh, no, man, he going to have some kind of excuse. But we going to roll up on him and have the media, everybody going to be there. And I'm talking about in the street.
You don't want that, man. All that good rhetoric.
I ain't talking about this stadium stuff. I'm talking about back in the street. Donna gonna be down there in the middle of the street, raising her hand up. On your mark. Set. I'm talking old school.
The only bad thing about that, they may get me for speeding.
I'm going to wave the flag and whatever. But Darrell, you know what? I'm going to let you have the last parting words because you just stayed on longer than you were supposed to. But we appreciate that because we love catching up with you. But you got to come back after this team goes to the Super Bowl to talk to us a little bit more. But I'm going to let you have the parting words.
The words to, first of all, to you guys, just I'm just proud of you all, and you guys, y'all maintain the integrity. You have never changed. Donna, I met you. You were never the little old girl, just like me, with a couple of peanut heads coming out of high college.
I still got the pigtail.
Yep. And then Tony and PB, Perry Brooks. Them and their spouses took me under their wings, and then my wife, and it's a blessing to have that experience. But I want to just say, then switching over to our community, this has been as Tony said, it's been a blessing to me. I came here, man, it makes me emotional thinking about it. I came here as a kid, just scared to death from a little NAI in Division II school. And, people, didn't know what I could do. And, got famous chasing my good friend Tony Dorsett down. And that was nothing to me. That was just running. I really wanted to show that I can cover. I can shut a receiver down. And it took many years, for me to get that sort of solidified. But by the grace of God, he kept me here. I was on the picket lines and the scab games, career times, but God told me don't fool with the free agency, and I'm so grateful for that. When you obey God, you look back and say, "Wow, man, I heard from God. He blessed us, and He blessed us with a lot of great friends like you all and others in this city." And I'm humble. I'm beholden to this city and to this region, and to those who were part of the original Redskins organization that brought me in. And I'm grateful for this new regime that they're connecting to the past and seeing the team as more than just the way to make a dollar or just to, play football, but seeing it as bigger than what it really is and the value that it provides to our community. That's what's important to me. So I'm grateful and humbled by the privilege that God gave me to come here and to be here now for 41 years. I will be 65 years old on February 15th. I came here just a little bitty boy, and just I'm humbled, man. I'm humbled by all of this. I'm humbled by all of it. I am.
You look great too, man. I tell you what, you look great, and I tell you what.
Man, listen, if you could, when you cut either your hair or your beard, can you save it? Save it for me, because I want to try to implant it up here. I don't care what color it is. You can give me the top pepper up there, or you can give me that one down there. I don't care. I'm gonna just push it up there, man. I'm gonna push it back. I'm gonna push it
Okay.
back.
Like he does. He's the only one with hair, but Darrell's got to come back, Tony. But as you say, we don't say goodbye.
We say in a minute.
In a minute.